Okay. All right. All right. Let me just make sure really quickly that we are recording. Okay. Awesome. We are, because I know there are lots of ladies who are wanting to catch the recording. So thanks everybody for being on tonight. You guys have no idea how happy it makes me when I hop on here and see 14 ladies on here and just the number growing every week. It's just so cool to see what God's doing on our team. And I just want you guys to know how much it means that you make it live. Obviously, you know, I know life happens and we all have things going on, but when you can catch a live call, it's always more impactful than, you know, trying to watch a recording, because most of the time we don't end up watching the recording. So just so thankful for you ladies and just being on here and making this a priority, because we know that this is what's going to help grow our businesses and drive us forward. So with that being said, I'm excited to tackle tonight's topic. But before we do, I just wanted to do a little recognition here. Okay, that was fancy. Oh, wait, first things first, we're going to just go over quickly the team calendar for the month, and then we'll dive into some recognition. So just a reminder that every Monday night, we do have something going on here in the FFHG Glory Sisters. So obviously tonight is our team-wide training, and then on the second week of the month, we have our new coach welcome call. Third week of the month is our live power hour. And then the fourth week of the month is our team mastermind. I may not always post reminders. It may be like tonight and it's 15 minutes before, but just know that these things are happening. So go ahead and put them on your calendar. We do have a team-wide sneak peek on the 8th and 9th, which is this weekend. And then we'll have one on the last weekends of the month as well. And so again, put those on your calendar. And if you want to jump in, definitely let me know. Obviously, this month we also have the Team Cup happening. So make sure that you are getting with your teams and checking in with each other and encouraging each other and, you know, checking in with how conversations are going. I think that tonight's topic is really going to help us move forward with the Team Cup this month. So I'm excited to chat about it tonight. Also, just a reminder that you can earn a spot in the Morning Meltdown group. With Jericho. For those of you who don't know who Jericho is, she's an incredible trainer. She was a part of Core Day Force, and before she came to Beachbody, she was actually a Les Mills master trainer. So she traveled the world teaching body pump, body attack. That's actually where I first found or saw Jericho, is in our old school Beachbody, like body pump DVDs that you did at home. She was one of the master trainers in that program. And so then Beachbody hired her and she's amazing. And so this program is going to be incredible. Although I will not be doing 100 days straight because I have to have my Sundays off. So it'll probably become like 120 or 150 day, whatever that ends up being for me. Next thing, so this month we have the New Leader Conference happening out in LA. Actually, last year I was invited to attend the New Leader Conference, and I was unable to go because of a church commitment. But this year I am going. So me and Brian are heading to LA on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this week for the New Leader Conference. So hopefully I'll have lots of good stuff to be sharing with you guys. The New Leader Conference is a conference that you're invited to. Beachbody pays for literally everything. And you're invited to once you hit 1-star diamond in your business. And so it's just an incredible opportunity to go out and really like meet corporate and really get to know the behind the scenes, like the upper level of Beachbody. So it's going to be a really fun time and I'm excited. I'll be working out with Autumn, I think, but I'll definitely be sharing lots of information with you guys as it comes. And then just a reminder that on February 19th, we're coming out with another flavor of Energized Fruit Punch. So for all of those people that you have on your list who have said, oh, I'd really like to try Energized, but I hate lemon lime. Now's your time to go back to them and follow up and say, hey, we're coming out with a new one. It's Fruit Punch. So it'll be super yummy. Mark your calendar because I know I'm going to order some of those little samples and do some giveaways and stuff with those. Just great to have for yourself, but also to share with other people. So those are the things that are happening around here this month. Obviously, too, I don't have it in here. I wish I would have added it, but we are continuing to lock down details for our team retreat that is happening in March. We do have one spot available. So if you are interested in coming, We just locked down the cabin over the weekend. And so it's going to be an incredible opportunity just to get together, build community with each other. There are some requirements in order to qualify. But if you are interested and you want to know more, you can just type in retreat in our team page in the search bar on the side, or you can reach out to me. Like I said, we have one spot left. So if you're interested, just hit me up. All right, so let's dive into some recognition here tonight. So I wanted to take a second and just give a shout out to all of the ladies who helped change lives last month in January. Just huge accomplishments here. Lily, who has been a coach for maybe 4 or 5 months at this point, was able to help 6 new people get started on their health and fitness journey. And I'm just so stinking proud of her. Courtney, her very first month in the business, has already hit Success Club 8 her first month. And let me just say too, she's already hit Success Club 6 for this month as well. So girl is killing it. But I am just so proud of her and the lives that she is impacting. And it's just so cool to see. Anna Bay also hit Success Club 6 her first month in the business. So 2 newbies, their first months hitting Success Club. Erin hit Success Club 6. Erin is Miss Consistent, and so I just am so proud of her. And then Ashley also was Success Club 6, also just so consistent in her business and helping people. But also to all the ladies, I mean, you see all of their names listed below, but just a few shout outs. Emily, this is her first month in the business. Let's see who else. What other newbies do we have on this list here? I feel like I'm missing someone here. Well, I'm sorry if I missed you, but I think that's the only other newbie. But just so proud of you ladies and the lives that you're helping to impact, and all of the lives represented here. I never want our team to get so caught up in trying to hit Success Club that we forget about the names attached to this. So, you know, one thing that I personally do is I kind of draw tally marks on my dry erase board for my goal for the month. So like my goal is always Success Club 10. So I'll draw 5 of those. And as I kind of, you know, sell a challenge pack, I mark it out and I put the person's name beside it. So that way I visually look at that every month and I don't forget that person that is behind that number. And so let's just continue to keep it about that, and really helping people start to change their lives, because we get to be change agents, and that's just such a cool thing. So proud of you guys, and just the hard work you put in this month. All right. So I'm really excited about tonight's topic, although I do feel like it's going to be one of those like tough love talks tonight. But we're going to talk tonight about growing your business through inviting. And we're going to specifically talk about something called the notebook method. So I got a lot of this information. I just want to preface it by saying this. I got a lot of this information from an incredible coach named Rachel. She has implemented this system with her team a few months ago, and I have been doing it since then as well, and it's really working. And it's been really cool. One of our coaches, Bonnie Smith, who's on our team, actually shared the training with me, and just kind of seeing, I had seen it before actually, and then like a similar method. I've seen several coaches do a similar method. I know Patrice does a similar method, but just really seeing the results of being consistent in that. And as I thought about it more and more, I was like, you know, I really just think this is something that my team needs to see, because at the end of the day, the number one thing that is going to move your business forward is not necessarily like posting on Instagram. Yes, it's part of it, but like not creating pretty graphics, not having a website, not having a blog, not having a, you know, perfectly put together, you know, I don't want to say challenge group, because actually that's really important, but you know, you guys get what I'm saying. The shiny stuff, the stuff that we can tend to focus so much of our time on. I mean, be honest, who here has spent an hour at some point making a document or creating a pretty graphic, and all of a sudden you look up and you're like, I just spent an hour on that. Like my entire nighttime hustle went to making this graphic, or my entire power hour went to trying to make this picture look pretty. Like I sat here and edited it and I spent all this time on it, right? But at the end of the day, those things are not moving your business forward. The things that will move your business forward are the conversations and the people that you are talking to and you're reaching out to. And 90% of the time, they don't care if your graphic is as beautiful as you want it to be. They are just worried about getting the information and connecting with you. And so we've really got to change our mindset from always being focused on the shiny stuff to really thinking, okay, I've got 1 hour a day, or I've got 2 hours a day. It's got to go towards business building activities. And this, what I'm going to present to you guys tonight, is a very simple way for you to do one of the core business building activities. And if you will focus on inviting, I can guarantee you that your business will grow. And then later on down the road, you can just pay somebody to make pretty shiny things for you. And then you don't have to waste your time doing it. So tonight we're going to jump into the notebook method. All right, so why the notebook method? So many times there is a disconnect really between people thinking they're doing the right things in the business and actually doing the things. One of the conversations that I have every single day with coaches is, Caroline, like, I just can't hit Success Club. Like, I've talked to all these people. I've messaged every single person that I'm friends with on Instagram. And then I go to their Instagram and I look at their Instagram and I'm like, okay, you have 400 followers. So you've literally talked to every single, like all 400 of these people. Well, not all 400 of them, like just the ones who like my pictures. So like the 15 or 20 that like my pictures. Okay, but what about the other like 350 people, right? Like there's this disconnect that we think we're doing all the stuff and what we're actually doing. And that's why I'm so adamant about you guys using the business tracker, because the business tracker really helps you say to yourself every day, am I actually doing the things that are moving my business forward? And so with the notebook method, it's going to add in another layer of accountability, because like I said, many times there is this disconnect between what we're doing, what we think we're doing, and what we're actually doing. And the notebook method, the reason I believe in the notebook method, and I know a lot of you like, I still don't know what the notebook method is. The reason I believe in the notebook method is because it is incredibly simple and duplicatable. And so if you're listening to this call, which all of you should be on the same page, sorry, I'm like thrown off because he just brought the baby monitor in here. But if you're on this call, you have some desire to make your business duplicatable, right? Because you want to eventually bring coaches onto your team, and you want to eventually, you're only going to be able to help so many people. So you want to eventually be able to help other people, then go help people. And so having things that are super simple are easy ways for you to go and teach your coaches to do. And for me, I've said this to a lot of you guys, like last year, at the end of the year, I started to realize that the things that I do in my business every single day that actually grow my business are extremely simple. And it's when we start to complicate things that we actually lose sight of our goal, and we think there's no way I can ever accomplish this. And so we've really got to get to a place where we stop trying to think like big, and we really start to almost think small and be really consistent with the small, simple things. So the reason that I love this notebook method, which again, we're going to go into in here just a little bit, is because the notebook doesn't lie. Just like your business tracker, when you mark those things off, if you didn't do those things, like there's going to be holes in your tracker. In your notebook, there's going to be spots where there's no names. There might be days with no names written out. And that notebook doesn't lie. You can sit there and tell me all day long, hey, Caroline, I've been inviting people. I'm trying to talk to people. No one's answering me. I'm getting tons of no's. And I can say, okay, show me your notebook. And if there's like 5 names in your notebook, then it's like, well, okay, well, clearly you haven't really been talking to anybody. Like, you can't expect 5 people. Like, it's going to take 10. You're probably, for every 1 person or every 10 people you talk to, maybe you're going to get 1 person who says, yeah, send me some information. Like, that's just a reality. That's just how it is for every single person, no matter what business you're in. And so the notebook doesn't lie. And when we use a notebook to really track our conversations and our invites, then we will see where we really are. We can actually hold ourselves accountable more instead of just thinking we're talking to all these people, but in reality, we're actually not. And this, guys, will explode your business. It's science. Like, it literally is just math. Like, the more people you talk to, the more people you're going to get in your challenge groups, the more coaches you're going to get. That is just the name of the game. And this is going to help you stay focused on the people and not the numbers. So this is another reason why I love the notebook method. Some people, they, as they're sending invites, they'll just do tally marks. And I actually used to do this. And I found myself really just caught in a numbers game. Like just really being like, okay, I need to talk to 50 people a day. Not really 50, but, going for big numbers. And so it just turned into me of like, okay, message sent, tally mark, message sent, tally mark. And it was less about the person and the conversation. But when I started writing people's names down and started writing down their Instagram name, and even sometimes making notes about what we talked about, it really made me start to just like remember the person and the conversation and like their life behind it. And so this is going to, again, help you focus on the people and not just looking at people as a number. So how does it work? So number one, you have to decide how you like to be invited. So I think this is a really important part of the process with inviting in general. So you have got to decide how you like to be invited. And there's really two different ways here. Some people like to be invited and just be straight up invited, and they want to know all the details first thing. And then some people just want to be like, start a conversation with someone and then them say, hey, have you ever thought about this? Or, hey, I saw you liked my photo. Would you want to join my next challenge group? Like some people want to be more invited like that. So you've got to think about, honestly, the best way to think about it is like, how were you invited? Like, how did you get invited to this opportunity? And maybe your coach didn't straight up just reach out to you and say, hey, have you ever thought about becoming a coach? Or, hey, have you ever thought about becoming a challenger? But think about maybe other situations where that did happen. So I'm going to use an example. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Monat hair shampoo, but one of my friends, her name's Natalie, she sells Monat shampoo. And so a couple of months back, I don't even remember, it's been a while, she hit me up and she was like, hey, Caroline, like, I don't know if you saw, I'm selling Monat now. I would love to send you some samples, whatever. I'm like, sure, I'll try it. Like, I'm interested. And so she sent me some samples, some information, not samples, information. And she sent me some information. I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. I actually just bought 2 huge liters of shampoo. So I really can't like buy anything right now, but hit me up in a few months. So about 3 months later, well, maybe 2, she sent me a voice message on Facebook and she was like, hey, Caroline, I just wanted to let you know we're having a deal this month. Not sure if you're still interested, but I'm just letting you know this is a deal happening. I'm like, again, still haven't gotten through my liters of shampoo yet. So thanks, but, still working on these. Then she follows up 2 months later. Hey, Caroline, wanted to let you know, like, again, another special. It was a voice message. And it was never anything where she was never like, hey, girl, like, I don't know. Like, I think because she sent it to me in a voice message too, it just felt very genuine. And I could kind of hear her tone and her voice behind it. And she's like, I'm just wanted to let you know, XYZ. And again, I'm like, I'm kind of at this point, like, also like, oh, I just don't want to spend the money on shampoo. You know what I mean? Like, there was a lot of things I wanted to get at the time. I was just like, shampoo. So I was like, oh, I think I'm going to pass right now, whatever. But hit me up later because I didn't really want to, like, hurt her feelings or, like, smash it. So then, like, literally y'all, again, a month or 2 later, she hits me up again. And I'm like, you know what? Oh, I know what it was. She sent me another message and she said, hey, Caroline, I really don't want to be annoying, but I just wanted to follow up with you because you said you were still interested. So I'd love to take you off my list if you're not, but I just wanted to follow up one more time. And I was like, actually, yeah, I do want to get it because I had just run out of shampoo. I was in desperate need of some shampoo. And I was like, oh, and I was having this like crazy head itch going on. And I was like, perfect timing. I need to try this like shampoo that's supposed to be good for your scalp, whatever. So my whole point there is that a lot of times we as coaches think that it's ooey and it's gooey and we don't want to have to follow up with people or we don't want to have to invite people. But with Natalie, that is a perfect example of the other times just weren't the right time. But when I finally decided, hey, yeah, I want to buy that, it was because my head was itching. I was literally in pain from having this itchy scalp head. And I was out of shampoo and it was literally just like perfect time. Now's the time for me to buy. And so we don't know what's going on with that person on the other side of the screen. And sometimes like they may be in a place where maybe they're pregnant and then they have their baby and then you're following up and then it's like, okay, yeah, now is the time. Or maybe they're going through a hard time financially. And then, 3 or 4 months on the road, when you follow up with them or you reach out, that's the time. I think another great example, and I loved this one that I heard from Rachel, is it's kind of like whenever you're a kid and you're like in kindergarten and this kid's like, oh yeah, I'm going to have this epic birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. And you're kind of like, okay, all right. Like, we'll see whenever like I actually get the invitation in my backpack from your mom saying that you're having the birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. And then the invitation shows up and you're like, wow, it's legit. Okay, I'm going to the party. For us as coaches, think about how many people are watching us and they're like, oh yeah, sure, you're going to have 5 people in your challenge group new this month. Or, oh yeah, sure, you're going to have this huge accountability group and it's going to be awesome. Like, people just tend to want to think negatively about things. And so when you send them that invite and you say, hey, I saw that you liked this photo about my challenge group. I just wanted to reach out and see if you're interested. I have, I had 5 spots, but I've already filled 2 up. Do you want to grab one of the other 3 spots or whatever, however you want to word it? It's that personal invitation where all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, I guess this is real. I guess it's a real thing. Yes, I want to jump in. And so the first thing you've got to do is decide how you want to be invited. So how would you want to be invited? Because that's how you're going to want to invite. Because it's going to feel a whole lot less icky if you're inviting the way that you like to be invited. The second thing is you've got to decide how big and important your goal is. That is going to be what drives you to make these invitations. That is going to be what drives you to make sure that you're reaching out to the people that you need to, is when you know your why and you know how important your goal is. For me, again, I say this all the time, my driving force has been, you know what? I want to be able to stay home at some point. I want to be able to quit my corporate job and I want to be able to just, be able to be home with my kids and decide if I want to work today or not because I want to go on the field trip or whatever. That is my personal goal. And so for me, that drives me in my business, right? It's also a big personal goal for me I want to help as many people as I can. And so in order for me to do that, I've got to reach out to people. The third thing is that obviously you need to have a notebook. So if we're going to do the notebook system, we got to have a notebook. Some people may like to do Excel. I'm not bashing any of those ways. You can totally do that. I'm just personally a big fan of pen and paper. And so having that notebook that you can literally carry around with you wherever you go. My thing is every time I've tried to do something digital, personal opinion, I'm like on the fly in my car sending an Instagram message between meetings for work. And I don't have my Excel PowerPoint in front of me to write that down. But I got my notebook. It's in my purse, pull it out, write the person's name down. It's just a lot easier for me working in those power pockets if I have it in a notebook. The fourth thing is craft a daily invite. So we're going to talk about all of this stuff a little bit more in detail because I know a lot of you are like, okay, well, what does that look like? But this really needs to be something that you can easily copy and paste and send to different people based on whatever it is that you're targeting. And we'll talk more about that in a second. The fifth thing is copy, paste, and write down their handles. So again, you're going to copy and paste the message, and then you're literally just going to write their Instagram handle down so that you can keep up with all the people you talk to. And 6 is going to be someone who responds, goes into your tracking system. So once somebody responds to your message, you can go back and circle their name. You can do whatever you want. Or you can put them into an Excel spreadsheet where you're keeping up with everyone. Some people use Streak. There's a lot of different ways that you can keep up with all your people. But I definitely recommend having some way that you're keeping up with the people who responded to you. For me personally, it has turned more into just circling their name. And that's how I know that those are the people that responded. And then I keep up more with my customers, like with all of their information in one Excel spreadsheet. But that's just the easiest way for me right now is just to circle their name. And if you guys have questions as we go, feel free to drop them in the chat box as well. So obviously this is going to be a learning curve, guys. This is going to be a different kind of way of doing things and keeping up with the people you're talking to. But there's really 2 ways that you can look at your notebook. You can look at this positively or negatively. And obviously you guys know that I am Miss Positive, so I am all about looking at it positively. But I think it's really easy sometimes to look at things that we do in our business and be like, oh, I'm dreading that, like, oh, I just hate inviting people. I hate it. I don't want to write names down in the notebook. Like, that's the worst part of the business for me. Or you can look at it as a positive thing. Like, hey, this is what moves my business forward. Like I talked about earlier, this is a business building activity. And you can look at it as like, hey, this is an opportunity to get to share what I do. This is an opportunity to help more people. Like, I think it's about changing the way that you look at it and your mindset around the verbiage that you're using and really trying to be positive about inviting people and what that looks like. I always love the way that Patrice talks about inviting because she's got a very different approach to it. She was a college athlete. She talks about how inviting for her was like, you get like a college invite, like you have been accepted into this college. Like that's a huge deal, right? Like when you're an athlete and someone says that you're invited, like to be a part of this. And so I think that we just have to, again, change our mindset and the way that we look at it and the verbiage that we're using. So this is really the process is going to be that you can even go back and re-invite monthly. So you're going to turn back in your notebook and go back to the people who didn't respond and follow up. And then you're going to wash, rinse, and repeat, right? And so it's going to compound over time. So as you're having these conversations, you're just going to then re-invite, go back and follow up with those people. And it's just a cycle that's then going to compound on itself. So this is really going to help grow your business as you are consistent with it. So where do invites come from? So invites are going to come from people watching your stories, people who like your posts, your followers. But there is obviously also Facebook. I think a lot of people forget about Facebook because we are so focused on Instagram and building relationships there. But really sometimes your Facebook, actually, the people who follow you on Facebook can tend to be a warmer market because you're already friends with them there. And so they've already kind of built a relationship with you. So those are actually better people to start with sometimes, and then start to move into the people who are watching your stories and liking your posts and kind of your followers. And there's no way you have invited all of your friends / followers. So like I talked about earlier, like when people tell me that they've invited all of the people that follow them, I mean, literally, unless you've only got like 100 followers maybe, but like, if you're consistently posting on your Instagram and you're focused on growth on your Instagram and your Facebook, then there should be no way that you have invited all of the people that are on there. I think a lot of times it's just that we've written people off and we think, oh, they would never be interested. But you might be surprised. So I'll just leave that there. All right, so let's get into the meat of things. So step one, crafting an invite. So how do you want to be invited? Like I said earlier. So you've really got to figure out like how you would like to be invited. So you want to make it vague but simple, and don't try and fix people or apologize. So this is really, really big. And this is something that I see a lot of coaches do, is they tend to want to apologize for, inviting people. So really what your goal should be is to get them to ask questions, and you should be asking them questions. So remember, this is about helping people, and you shouldn't feel bad for wanting to help them. That's really important. So let me just kind of touch on the don't try and fix people or apologize. So you want to be really careful when you are talking to people that you don't come across as like, hey, you need to get into my challenge group because I need to fix you. Or, hey, like, I know that like health and fitness can be like a little weird, and like, if you don't want to do it, it's okay. But I was just wondering if you might want to get in my challenge group. Like, who is going to want to jump in your challenge group after you said, if you don't want to do it, like, it's okay. Like, no, you don't start with that, right? Like maybe at the end of the conversation, if you say, hey, if this isn't the right time, it's no big deal. That's a little bit different. But don't start the conversation by apologizing first, right? You need to be confident in what you're doing. If you're not confident in Beachbody and the programs and like what you're being called to do, then you may need to really sit down and figure out like, okay, like, why am I doing this, right? Like, if you really want to help people and you want to help them start to change their lives and turn their lives around in their health and fitness, then you've got to find ways to share this opportunity with them, because there's really no other way to grow your business if you're not willing to share it. So some examples of what these conversations would look like. So these are like literally ones that I have sent to women. Happy Monday. How's your week going so far? I saw you marked yes on my poll when I asked about running another Transform 20 group. Did you want to join us? So you guys saw my poll today. If you follow me on Instagram, this is what I'm sending to ladies who marked yes. So hopefully then they'll say, yeah, actually I wanted some information. It sounds really awesome, whatever. And then I'll email them over the information. I'll ask for their email and say, oh, I'm so excited. I would love to have you. What's your email? Now, if they ghost me and they don't answer me, that's fine. In a few days, I will follow back up with them, maybe 3 days, and say, hey girl, just checking back in. Like, I've got one spot left. Let me know if you still want in. And then if I don't hear from them, I move on. Another example is, hey lady, I saw you liked my last post. Thank you so much for encouraging me. Did you want more information on my next boot camp? So one thing here is like, if I was going to send someone this, it would have had to have been a post where I talked about my next challenge group. So they liked the post and I had talked about my next challenge group, and that's why I'm not sending them information. Obviously, like if I just posted a devotional or posted something about me and Emmeline and then I sent them that, like that wouldn't make much sense. So obviously it needs to be something that's specific to the challenge group. But this is another great way, and another reason why you want to make sure that you are posting about things that you're doing on your Instagram as well. All right, so step 2 is to write down their handle for accountability. So you're just going to simply, like once you send them the message, you're literally just going to write down their handle and move on. And this just helps you keep track of who you're talking to and helps you keep up with the number of invites that you did that day. Step 3, so step 3, you're going to fill out your notebook based on your goals. So if you're a newer coach, you may decide, like, so depending on the size of your notebook, you might decide, hey, I just want like 1 page of, invites to go out a day. So some people, I mean, y'all literally, this one coach I was listening to, she sends 64 invites a day, which is insane. But she's got really big goals in her business. And so it just really depends on what your goals are. For me, it's probably going to be more like, 15 to 20 invites a day. But for you, if you're a brand new coach, it may be 5 invites a day. Now, obviously 5 is more of like the probably average. But again, if you're like, hey, I'm having a hard month, I haven't had a lot of interest, you're going to need to up those. And that should be the one thing that you're doing more of. I was talking to a coach today who, this is her 2nd month in the business, and the first month she had a lot of interest, and now the 2nd month it's been a little bit harder. And I told her, I said, you're going to have to start A, making sure that you're really adding to your network, but B, upping your invites and your conversations, because sometimes when we hit a sticking spot, it's because we're not talking to enough people, and we can't expect for people just to always passively come to us. I think sometimes we think that even with the Lord, like, oh, well, I prayed and asked the Lord to bring people, but no one's coming. So like, maybe like, maybe he doesn't want me to coach anybody. And while I see what people are saying when they say that, we also do have to put in the work. There is a grace-driven effort where we work like it depends on us, but we know that it doesn't, right? So at the end of the day, we put in the work. We invite the people, because sometimes people need to be invited, and God uses that to draw them in, but they may just be scared or uncomfortable, or maybe you intimidate them. I have realized that I intimidate a lot of people and I didn't even know I did. So sometimes when you talk to someone, you realize that maybe they were just really scared to ask you. And so just really focusing on pushing past your fears and really going for those big goals. And I would say too, like, set yourself up for a challenge. Say maybe like for a week, you're going to try to do 30 invites a day or 20 a day, and just see what happens in your business. I think that we just got to keep trying, and that will help us push over humps. But if you're pushing for big goals, fill out both sides of the page. So I would just say that's an easy way to look at it. And again, like I said earlier, just making sure that you don't forget about those people that you are connected to on Facebook, because those are already there and they're people that you're connected to. So just remember that at the end of the day, it's up to you to do the work. You can't make excuses. And I think that we all naturally want to make excuses about why we're not doing X, Y, Z. There have been seasons where I have made excuses. Oh, I'm just too busy. I've got this going on. I don't have time to write people's names down in a notebook. That's what I used to say. But what I realized is that I would get to the end of the week and realize that I hadn't invited anybody. And yes, like people were coming and it was like, okay. But at the same time, I wasn't honestly pushing myself to probably what my God-given potential was, because I was literally just kind of like, okay, cool. Like I've got a few people. I'm good. Thanks, God. But like, was I really working with a grace-driven effort? I think sometimes when like we do hit a goal, we sometimes like kind of take our foot off the gas and just think, all right, God, like, thanks. I'm good now for the month. Instead of just continuing to work with a grace-driven effort and really giving him our best. And that's something that I've really been convicted about, is like, am I giving God my best? So if you, Dave Ramsey says this, and I just think it's so good. If you will live like no one else, later you can live like no one else. And so for me, I know that right now I am putting in a lot more work. And it's not always the easiest way of handling it all. Maybe I would love to like lay on the couch a little bit more or watch a Netflix series. Like, what is TV? I don't even know what that is. But like, I know that right now I am sacrificing those things because the end result is going to be getting to have the freedom to be with Emmeline. It is amazing to me how many people look at entrepreneurs, which by the way, guys, you're an entrepreneur. This is your own small business. But people look at entrepreneurs every day, and when they get on the other side of the grind and they say, man, they're lucky. They're 32 years old and, they got XYZ, or they've got this or that, or they, have the flexibility of owning their own business. It's so cool. Like they can go do these things with their kids, but people don't recognize the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of grind that went into doing all that they did before that. They don't recognize that those people didn't make excuses and they showed up consistently every single day. And so I'm telling you guys right now that if you're serious about this business and you're really like, hey, I want to do this thing, I can sit here and look around and I know every single one of you and your goals that you put on the Google tracker when you first signed up as a coach. But the question is, do you actually think that you can hit those? Are you willing to actually do the work? And maybe it means for you taking a total break from posting on Instagram every single day. Maybe you need to just post on Instagram 3 times a week. I mean, obviously being consistent is important because you can talk to people there, but maybe it's just focusing on Instagram stories and maybe posting 3 times a week and using that other time that you're spending focused on writing out this perfect caption and literally talking to people. Like going the extra mile and actually investing in them and not making excuses, but doing the work. Because if you're going to see the result, then you're going to have to put in the grind, right? Like that's just the name of the game. And if you're a leader, know this too. Like if you have a team, if you're on this call and you have coaches who are signed up under you, remember that your team is going to do half of what you do. And people say to me all the time, Caroline, how do you hit Success Club 28 or whatever? Like, honestly, 90% of the time, it's because, yes, I could take my foot off the gas, but I know that you guys are probably going to do half of what I do. And I want you to be successful in this business too. And so sometimes the reason I keep showing up and keep just continuing to talk to people is because I want to show you that this is possible. I literally have the exact same amount of time in the day as you do. And I'm not sitting here tooting my own horn, but I have a full-time job too. And I know I get to work from home, but it's still a very strenuous job. And I literally, in my full-time job this year, had my best review I've ever had with my boss. So I'm killing it at my full-time job, but my business grew more than ever has. And it's not because I do things perfectly. It's not because I'm a perfect leader. It's not because I have a million conversations. Guys, I'm probably talking to 20 people a day, but I am consistent in the things that I am doing. And I really believe, actually, I know that if you are having conversations with people and you are genuinely pouring into people and you're really keeping up with those conversations, that you will see growth. Like there is just no way that you won't. And so just remember that if you're a leader, your team is going to do half of what you do. And so I want you guys to continue to set the standard. And even with our families and our friends and our clients, like continuing to set the standard with them as well. I had a few more notes here. So just remembering, again, like I said earlier, like remember to focus on the income producing activities. I know that not everything is about making money, guys. That's not what I'm sitting here saying. But at the end of the day, if you've got an hour a day, you've got to make sure that your time is going towards those things. I don't want you guys focus on all these shiny things and then it's not helping produce anything. And weed through the people to find your people. People always say to me, well, all these people, which I think someone just said, what if followers are the other coaches? How do you attack people that aren't already coaches? What if followers are other coaches? We all have that issue. I have that issue. I will message people and their coach and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Well, cheering you on, girl, move on. And unfollow them. Like, I mean, not in a bad way, not like I'm not cheering you on, but like, you don't need to be following a whole bunch of coaches, right? Like follow the coaches on our team and that's it. Because honestly, if you're following a whole lot of coaches, unless it's somebody you just really connect with, right? Like your purpose partner or somebody from another team that you're just like, I really like this person. Because you will start to morph into every single coach that you follow. If you're following a whole bunch of other coaches, I mean, there's coaches out there who tell their teams not to follow any coaches because you need to stay in your lane. You need to focus on building relationships with your people. And so honestly, like I follow like 4 or 5 top coaches that I just like to watch their stuff and see what they're doing. But other than that, that's it. And if I see a coach pop up on my Instagram feed, like I had started following them, I honestly unfollow them unless they're on our team. So I would just say for that, like it's just unfollow them. And because again, it's not helping grow your business and you're probably just going to compare yourself to them anyway. So it probably is not really helping anything. And weed through the people to find your people. So continue just to like weed through, find your people. I use Stem Social. I told you guys that. And so for me, it's like continuously getting on there and figuring out if you use Captivate, same thing, or whatever you're doing to grow your Instagram. If you're going to other accounts, you're going to hashtags, you're just going to have to play around with things a lot in order to start to find where your people are hanging out. It might be, a certain hashtag that they're using that's like, oh, these are my people. I'm starting to actually see that these are the people that like I connect with. So you're just going to have to really put in the time to weed through and figure out who your people are. Let's see, what else was I going to hit on? And then I will go over here to questions. So it's like lots of questions. So a few things I did want to hit on. I'm actually reading a really great book now called, oh goodness, now I forgot the name of it. It's by John Maxwell. It's something along the lines of like, lots connect or communicate, few connect or something like that. So basically the gist of it is that all of us are constantly communicating with people, but few of us are actually connecting with people, right? And so one of the things that he said is that mutual concern creates connection between people. Nobody wants to be sold to, but everyone wants to be helped. And so I think a lot of times going into your script and what you're saying to people, you've got to figure out like, how do I say this in a way that honestly is from my authentic self? People always ask me, Caroline, like, how do you follow up with people? What do you say? Guys, I don't put much thought into it, to be honest. I just literally talk to people like I would want to be talked to. I literally talk to people like they're my friend. Like, hey, Courtney, like I've got one more spot left in my challenge group. I was just following up with you. Did you still want in? Like, no big deal if not. I just wanted to check. Like, it's no big deal. It's no pressure. When you start to put pressure on the conversation, then the other person starts to feel that. And if it's really about helping people, like, you don't have to sell to them. You just have to talk to them like they're your friends. And if you want to get someone's attention, show them how you can help. So start to think about showing on your Instagram stories. Like, Instagram stories is so powerful, guys. Like, showing people the girls on your team who are checking in. Maybe you do something cool and creative, and every week you highlight one of your challengers and they tell their story. You could ask them to send you a 15-second clip. or a couple of 15-second clips where it's like, hey guys, I'm so-and-so. I'm, Caroline's challenger. I just wanted to share like what being in her group has meant to me, da, da, da. Like those are great ways for people to be like, oh, Caroline doesn't just say she does that. She actually does that. And so highlighting those things I get tons of messages from people, but when I can, or when it makes sense and it's not something intimate, I'll try to even screenshot it and just wipe out all their like personal information and be like, hey, I love working with women. It's so cool to see what God's doing, because I want for people to see that these are real women. These are real situations. These are real things that they are going through. And that way someone else can see it and they say, you know what, she's helping them and I want her to help me. So really start to think about, how can I show them that I can help them, and how can I build that trust with them? And that's why we've got to really think through too with what we're posting on our Instagram feeds. Zig Ziglar said this, and I say this quote a couple times, but you will get everything you want in life if you help other people get what they want. And that's what this business is about, guys. It's you're going to see the fruit of your labor if you'll just help people, and help people get results in this business and through these challenge groups and challenge packs. So it's really that simple. Okay, let me go over here really quick to questions. We've got 8 minutes. Hal hates lemon and lime. I look forward to working out only to be able to drink it. That's funny, Jess. Guilty as charged, Jacqueline. All of us are guilty as charged, I'm sure. Tara, what if followers are other coaches? Okay, so I think I kind of touched on that one. Did you, any other questions on that one, Tara, specifically?
No.
Oh, you just went unmuted. I'm going to, hang on. Oh, you're good now.
So basically, I think you answered it, but not necessarily that I'm following other coaches, but that I'm attracting them. And I'm just wondering if it's because of my hashtags, or if there's some other way to attract people that aren't coaches.
Yeah.
So.
Are you using, what hashtags are you using?
I use different ones depending on what I'm posting about, but it's not like I'm posting like hashtag Beachbody.
Yeah. That's what I was about to ask. Are you hashtagging Beachbody?
No.
Well, and I would say too, it may just be sitting down, taking some time to search like hashtags and seeing how many people are using them. Because I think sometimes we think using the hashtags that lots of people use is going to be the best thing, but it's actually the opposite. Like you almost want to go for hashtags that have less people using them. I'm not talking about just 100, but I'm talking like instead of using the one that 1 million people are using, use the one that like 100, I don't know, like 10,000 people are using, or 2,000 people, because you're going for like a niche group of people and not the masses. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, that's what I focused on. Like, how can I go for those niche groups of people? And really thinking about brands that attract people that I want to follow me. So what are those other like faith-based companies out there, a She Rich Truth, or, a Cross Train Couture, or I don't know, I'm just using this as an example, or like, what are other random like candle companies that are Christian companies, or like, what about like clothing stores, like Altered State, I don't know, like just different companies that aren't playing in the health field at all, but they're Christian based, or they tend to attract Christian women, and focusing more on that because they're not already being spoken to in the health and fitness realm. They're being spoken to in a, by Lisa Turkers or Lifeway or all these companies out there that are speaking to them, but maybe they don't have someone like me yet, So that's what I focus on, and that's where I get most of my people.
Awesome.
So
and you set that up through your STEM social, right? Like, because I need to get in there and just. I made
a video where I shared my screen and showed you guys exactly how I set mine up. So you can, I think, if you go to our team page and in the search bar, type in STEM, it should pop up.
Okay. Thank you.
And you can use the same concepts, like even if it's not STEM, you can use the same concepts for Captivate. You can use the same concepts for just Instagram in general. Also, if you guys are in Beachbody Champions page, Amy Rada did a really great training on hashtags. If you're in the Beachbody Champions page, you can type in Amy Rada hashtags. It wasn't very long ago, and it was really, really good. So let's see. Jesse said, we just talked about re-inviting people in our Team Cup group because we were wondering how many times do you invite people that ghost you? I say one time. If they ghost you, just follow up with them once. And if they don't answer, I would just move on. I think, like, sometimes I genuinely think people see it and they read it and they're like, oh, I'm going to message her back. And then they literally just forget. So I think one follow-up is good. But, like, after that, if they just straight up didn't answer you, then I wouldn't, like, message them again. Now, if they answer you and they say, oh, yeah, like, I'd like information, or maybe they say something random, like, that then involves another follow-up, that's a little bit different. But straight up ghosting, I would say just one time. Oh, Sharaya said she follows up 3 times. That works too. I mean, I guess it never hurts. And I think it just depends too. Like, personally for me, if they gave me their email and I'm emailing them the information, I think that should have 3 follow-ups. But if it's like on Instagram and they ghosted me, I usually just do 1 follow-up. See, would you start multiple challenge groups a month? If I have 2 going now, what should I invite people to? Should I start a new challenge group? No. So obviously, like, here's the thing. I have learned this the hard way. So I have found myself, again, last year, I just got to my breaking point where I was like, I have so many groups going, I can't even hardly keep up with people. Like, it was just becoming too much. And so instead, the better thing to do is, like, say that you have a Transform 20 group going right now, and it's on week 6. Yeah, we're on week 6, and it ends in 2 weeks. You could have your next Transform 20, like round 2, start up literally that next Monday. So you can use these next 2 weeks to invite them to that group. So, or if you have a group that just started February 1st and it ends at the end of February, like, maybe right now you kind of, focus on connecting with people, getting conversations going, saying, hey, yeah, I'm going to have a group starting up March 1st. Because the thing is like, people honestly, like, halfway into February, they need to start placing their orders, or they can start placing their orders, because it takes about that much time to get all your stuff in and actually, like, prepare. So you could also do a prep week for your challenge group. So if you have a challenge group starting, even if it's like the 2nd week of March, you could do a week-long prep groups, so that way it's like, hey, yeah, I'm doing this group, and then you do a prep week, but then that also gives you, like, they're plugged in already, but then an extra week to also get people in there. So that's an option too. Does that answer your question, Courtney? Okay. Yes, I will post that John Maxwell quote for sure. I love me some John Maxwell. He is good. Okay. Any other questions from anybody? Anybody? All right. Well, we're ending right on time. And I'm very proud because Lord knows I'm always late. Oh, goodness. Okay, I'm going to take a picture of all this really quick, and then I will let you guys go. And then Diamond Internship ladies, if you just want to stay on for our check-in call after this, that would be awesome. Also, really quick, I totally left this out of the presentation, but I will post this in our team page. If you are interested in being plugged in to a Voxer group. So we've been doing a Voxer group for our Diamond Internship, and we're going to keep doing that because it's a little bit more, like, intensive. But if you want accountability in your notebook method invites that you are doing,